I will be posting the holiday schedule. This is a weird angle. Usually I have the camera in front of me here, but seeing the rear of all of these computers, I think we have 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 computers on the tables. Parang boring naman. So I moved the camera to the right, but it's a really weird angle, to be honest. Then we have our mobile camera, which we usually have naman. But before we get into it, let us do the usual ad, which I always have trouble finding. Here we go. See you after the break.
Sawa ka na ba sa unactivated Windows mo? Well, lucky you! Pinakabago mula sa cdkeyoffer.com. Windows 10 and Windows 11 activation codes. Legit, safe, at pinakamura. Madali lang umorder. Hanapin ang Windows version na gusto mo. Piliin ang preferred payment method. Wala pang 5 minutes, nag-CDK ka na para sa Windows mo. Marami na kaming natulungan.
Dati, sad and depressed ako. But now, I found the love of my life.
Dati, aimless and walang purpose ang life ko. But now, I'm a world-class Zumba instructor.
So, web developer ako and content creator for a YouTube channel. And ngayon, ganun pa rin ako pero activated na yung Windows ko.
Kaya kung naghahanap ka ng legit, mura, at original software,
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com.
Check out cdkeyoffer.com. All right, so thanks for joining me for Live from the Shop. We do this once a month where basically we talk about what's been going on, like the builds we've done, the new stock that we have, and of course, Intel 14th Gen came out Wednesday, I think. We ordered it actually, we're not supposed to say, but we ordered it like the day in advance. Then we got it soon after that. So one of our customers was probably one of the first, if not the first, to get a 4900K. As far as I know of here, dito sa atin. Sup, Genome? Sup, Chris Alvarez? What spec would you recommend for a racing simulator setup? We do actually have... I will be doing a delivery tomorrow that is pretty much a racing simulator setup. What they have is a 7800 XT or 75800 X3D for GPU and CPU respectively. A very nice LG monitor, I think 49 inches na curved. We can send you, if you want to email us. Although to be honest, Chris Alvarez, I can't remember if your name is attached to this project. So, but if you are attached to this project, you'll be seeing the computers very soon. I will be delivering them tomorrow morning. Franz. Sup, Franz? I still have a working i5 6500. May mga MOBO po ba ngayon na pwede dyan for gaming? We don't have any. The MOBOs we have for Intel are for 12, 13, and 14. I don't think we even have any more left for Intel 11th Gen, let alone for 6th Gen Intel. So sorry, we struck out. We don't have that for you. The thing kasi with Intel, they really change motherboards a lot per it. You know, it's very rare. This particular generation, 12, 13, 14, they all use the LGA 1700, so it's the same socket. You can still use the same motherboard, but it's very rare that Intel does that. Yung average, dati nga actually, I think parang one gen different. Di naman, to be fair, the 115X lasted a long time naman. But it's not like they're not like AMD na. Yung AM4 platform was around for a long time. It was a great platform. Intel likes to change up its sockets, and that causes a bit of headaches for customers who are thinking of upgrading rather than having to buy a new computer outright. Sup, Leah Magnaye? We do have Wenky from YouTube. We do have 27 inchers. 29 inchers, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Like, we don't have it on stock. We might be able to custom order, but I can't quite think of any that, that off the top of my head that would fit the bill na 29 inches. Yes, we are still in Makati on Chino Roses. Chris Alvarez. What's up, Frederick Caballero? Thanks for dropping by. You missed me. I came in like around 4, I think. Christian Lasak, 4070. We have Asus. Let me bring it out. Isa na lang. We had 2 of these guys. Apparently, somebody bought the other one. But here is our 4070 Asus Tough Dual 4070. Tough ba to? Oh, not Tough, sorry. Tough is actually an imprint of ASUS. So it's still made by ASUS, but they try to segment their products a little bit. So they have Tough, they have Strix, they have ROG, they have ROG Strix. We've done a lot of business with ASUS, but I'm still unclear. I mean, ROG obviously is their very premium line, but I'm still not clear where Tough goes. Like there's a ordinary ASUS, which isn't that cheap, right? I mean, even the ordinary ASUS is kind of quality na. And it's not the cheapest that you can get on the market. Then you have the Tough, and then maybe the Strix, and the ROG Strix, and the ROG. But that is the 4070 we have now. Kofi, does Hardware Sugar plan on branching out? We certainly hope to, but to be honest, we still have growing pains trying to figure out how to make money with one branch, let alone if you have multiple branches. Although that said, retail is really volume. I mean, the way to make money in retail is you have to sell a lot. The problem is, like our sales model, we focus on more high-end components, more exotic builds. So just by the nature of the parts, there are less people looking for that compared to entry-level 20,000 peso computers, for example. So we're still kind of trying to figure out the best way to make money. And I've said this many times on the streams and in the videos. Hardware Sugar is not making money yet, but hopefully, we'll get there soon. Because it's nice. Like you have quite expensive builds coming in, but at the same time, to buy the parts necessary for those builds also takes up a lot of capital. So constantly having to borrow money from various people. Fortunately, I do have access to capital, but it is a little struggle. But yes, hopefully, once we get a little money saved up, we do want to expand both in the metro and outside the metro. All right, so we are gonna do. So what I like to do with live from the shop, I'm gonna do I'm gonna take a mobile camera. We're gonna make this the main one. Oh, the problem every time I do this, I always mess up. Then can you hear me? Okay. If the audio cut out, just please say so in the comments. But parang nagtatransmit pa naman siya, I think. So we have this computer here. I don't even know what case this is. I like it. It's really old school. It's old school just by the look and also by the panel, the side panel, which isn't full ano yet. And I think this might be acrylic actually. Medyo ganun yung cases before. So usually the side panel now is full, fully visible, like fully transparent. But here it's just like it's a portion of it. I think this is still acrylic. Nice front though. Kind of reminds you of a knight or something. So this is for diagnostics. This NR200P is also for diagnostics. Everything here is for diagnostics. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 computers all in all for diagnostics. This is actually ours, but we're using it to test some components. This AP201 is ours. Thank you. ASUS sent it to us for review and allowed us to keep it. And it has been super useful because it has great air intake. So a lot of air intake here. Then it's a vented side panel. So it's yung perforated na steel rather than yung transparent na glass. So great airflow. Quite roomy for an M80X case. So it's very easy to install things, take things out and things like that. This also actually came from the brand Deepcool, sent it to us for review, and then they let us keep it. LS720, I think. Yeah, so we're using this to test. This is really ours. This guy, I have no idea what this case is. Dark Flash, maybe Dark Flash, because of the Dark Flash fans. We are expecting actually to get a case from Dark Flash for review. So that is coming up. Oh, and it's a vertically mounted GPU. na Gigabyte, na Tri-Fan. Not bad. Except, to be honest, my concern with the vertical mounted in these kind of cases, I mean, where's it gonna get the air? There's no easy access to cool air. I mean, at least if it were a vented side panel here, and these fans are either blowing in or sucking, depending on the type of GPU, it still has access to some kind of fresh air. Pero this looks nice, kind of height Y60, kind of Lian Li design aesthetic, pero can get a little toasty. id cooling, AIO, MSI, Edge, MSI, Mobo. I don't know what this GPU. I mean, it's a Gigabyte GPU, but I don't know what it is. Let me make sure. Okay. Nobody has complained yet na walang audio, so I assume okay pa to. This build is actually from us. It's from a long-time customer. The Zotac looks very familiar. This is the GPU I have. I love it's off now, but I love the AIO on this. I don't know if you can see it. Sorry, medyo masikip with the other case. So it's a Cooler Master AIO. The lighting is around the CPU block instead of being focused on top of it. So I really like this look. And then it's an NZXT H5, I think. But this is also in for diagnostics. This NR200P, which I am using as a table. Sorry to the... I mean, I'm not hurting it or anything, but seems a little disrespectful to the NR200P. But this is also for diagnostic. I got a fractal. We used to carry stuff like this before. I mean, like this particular case. I can't quite define mini C, maybe. But that's also for diagnostic. And this guy is also for diagnostic. And we are running a MEM test right now. Are the temps okay on the Pulse Sapphire 7800 XT? To be honest, I wouldn't know because we have not... Hindi ko pa nasubukan. We had one 7800 XT, which we sold, but it was for ship out. So we sent it out to the province. We weren't able to test it in store. I mean, we didn't do a build on it and we didn't run our usual benchmarks on it. So, to be honest, I don't know. I could not answer that question. Let me just get a nice view of the... Well, I don't know how much better that view is. Maybe kung ganito na lang. Oh, that's not great either. Maybe like this. No, maybe like this. Riser cables. So, since we're here, to explain what these guys do, basically, if you want your GPU is usually mounted like this. But if you want it mounted like this, you're going to need to install, you're going to need a riser cable like this. The GPU slots in like this. And then the other part, sorry, well, actually, it's like, it would be here. So this is your PCIe slot. You slot in your GPU here. It's standing vertically like this. And then this slots into the PCIe slot on the Mobo. So these are riser cables. Brought to prominence actually not by gaming. I mean, usong-uso ngayon yung aesthetic na, oh, say bye to the guys. Bye, guys. Thank you for your work. Those are actually the guys who keep Hardware Sugar running. I am just the talking head that jibber jabbers but doesn't really provide value. Pero those guys are the ones who give to provide value talaga to Hardware Sugar. I mean, they actually do the work. They do the services. So we think about vertical mounted GPUs mostly for aesthetics, for gamers, but they really came to prominence for miners. Back in the day, when you were using GPUs for crypto mining, you wanted a lot of GPUs on one motherboard, and so you needed riser cables because you couldn't physically fit even though you had a lot of PCIe slots on the board, you couldn't fit the GPUs on the motherboard, like physically fit them in kasi makapal yung mga GPUs. But if with riser cables, you could have them originating on the board and then, rising. They're still connected to the motherboard. And then you can have like a whole line of GPUs on just using one motherboard. So, sumikat talaga sila from crypto mining. 4070 Tri-Fan, recommended the PSU. I usually like colorful for GPUs. I think they do have a Tri-Fan version. MSI is usually pretty good. If a little pricey sometimes. Asus is also good. I'm not sure if they have a Tri-Fan 4070, but I'm pretty sure. The one we have now is just dual, so just two fan. But in general, I like the Asus, the MSI, colorful for GPUs. My personal GPU is a Zotac, which has been running pretty well, to be honest. Kofi, new Deepcool CH560 might be good for vertical mounted GPUs with a half glass, half mesh. I haven't. That's a good point. I haven't actually checked out that that case. I think the last Deepcool na I remember was the CH510. But yes, yun. So I'm not sure if we got a shot of the mem test over there. We actually have had a bunch of builds, but they're all loaded up now. I'll deliver some tomorrow, and some of them already got picked up over the week. So we've had a bunch of expensive builds. Trying to see, like we've had custom orders. We had a custom order for a 4090. Where is the 4090? Well, here's a 40. This is also a custom order. 4070 Ti. So what I mean by a custom order, if we don't have the item in stock, actually, we're running two different mem tests. I mentioned we're doing a lot of diagnostics currently in the shop. So we're doing the mem test. We're testing the RAM of this computer. And this is one of our test benches, the RAM on it. Sorry. Actually, this is, one of our computers. This is also one of our computers. One of our test benches. Apparently, we're testing the Clev ata to eh. Hindi, Clev ba to? No. Why are we running mem test on the color? Is this the colorful? Oh yeah, CVN. Yeah, this is colorful RAM. So there's a mem test. Mem test takes a long time actually. So it's very common in the shop na iniiwan namin overnight either to do stress tests or the mem tests. Although I have a standing rule in the shop that I want all staff computers turned off before they leave. So if I come in after they've left and I find the computer on, I will turn it off. Which is why the staff leave me notes that please don't turn this off because, we're actually doing work on this thing and we left it running. Although itong isa, parang one stick of RAM lang. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a rattle here in this computer. So there's a rattle here. This computer also, when it was on kanina, may rattle. Parang may something with the fans. And it runs hot. This one parang hindi maganda yung cooling. Although it's fractal design, so it's a good case. It looks like a Noctua inside. Can't quite make it out kasi tinted yung side panel. This one actually is about, it's past 3 of the 4 tests, so probably okay, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so there are some builds. We have 2 builds that we're just waiting for parts. But apparently we have a lot of diagnostics, a lot of builds for diagnostics in the shop. Insan, how much is a 4060? We have ours at around 19,000. If you want more information about prices, we do have a video that dropped just last Friday, our price watch video for this month. That's where we track the prices of CPUs and GPUs throughout the Philippines through the major PC retailers. So we don't base it on the prices that we see from our dealers here at Hardware Sugar. We look at the prices of the 4 largest PC retailers in the country. And then we average that data to get a general sense of magkano ba tong GPU na to. With the 4060, you need to be careful kasi there are still some stores na mas mahal yung 3060 nila. And there's no reason, I mentioned this on Pwede Magtanong yesterday, there's no reason why a 3060 should be more expensive than a 4060. The 4060 is newer, the 4060 is faster, and the 4060 is cheaper in SRP. So there's no reason why the 3060 should be more expensive than the 4060. We have ours is colorful 4060. We have ours around 19,000. Sup, Kaiser? A lot of the, di naman a lot, but a good majority of the bills that we get for diagnostics, I wish that they would also consider our cleaning and cable management service kasi medyo makapal nga yung sometimes makapal yung, like I wouldn't even call it dust. You know, when dust conglomerates and nagkukumpul siya dun sa vents and stuff, it becomes like this very solid thing. So I do sometimes wish that sana pang cleaning and cable management din to. Yes, I'm sorry that I don't have like exciting builds. Yun nga, I'm about to deliver them, so they're already in the car. Deliver them tomorrow morning. And we have 2 builds na pang, we are still waiting for parts. I know we got a custom order 4090, but I don't know where it is. I'm not sure the customer picked it up na. But just to have a rundown of what we can do in the shop other than full builds, yun nga, we're the only PC shop I know that will do diagnostics even for non-customers. Like, itong rig na to, hindi galing sa amin, the parts are not from us, but we will help you figure out what's wrong. Plus, if we determine that the problem is one part and you buy the replacement part from us, wala nang diagnostic fee. So you're just basically paying for hardware, which you'll need anyway to get the computer up and running 100%. And we advertise this a lot, like on our Facebook, we mention it a lot. The other, like, the other mainstream stores, I've never heard them talk about that kind of service. But for us, it's a way for people to know us because we are a small shop. Also, it's because we don't want e-waste to pile up. I mean, okay pa naman yung computer you just need to replace the RAM. Okay pa naman yung computer, you just need to replace the PSU. So, para hindi sayang. I mean, there's a lot of, oftentimes when a computer goes wrong, either it's software, so you wipe Windows, fresh install, or there's just one part of the computer that's acting up, the rest is still good. So, it's also in that kind of spirit na, ayaw namin na may sayang, ayaw namin na may, you're still getting value for money by, we can replace it instead of having to get something new. So in a way, we are very, very pro right to repair at Hardware Sugar. Oh, I'm just gonna do, speaking of like things we do that can lessen e-waste, I just also want to point out na that's a good point, Kaiser, pero like I've struggled to, I don't, parang it's hard for me to justify it based on that na it's more expensive because assuming you get the 12 gigabyte 3060, but the benchmarks of like 3060 12 gigabyte versus 4060 8 gigabyte, like the 4060 pumps out more frames, so it's hard why the card should be more expensive. Like we're talking about the 3060 and the 4060. Although I do acknowledge that there are differences, like just on the very surface level, the size of the VRAM and the number of PCIe lanes. But in terms of like what the customer is actually getting in terms of performance, parang I don't quite understand how the shops can have the 3060 12 gigabyte as more expensive. Continuation na Pwede Magtanong. Yung PC ko, nagba-blue screen bigla, error 1962, no OS found. Then i-off ko po lang yung AVR, then on again. I don't know. I don't know what error 1962 is. If you want, if you think it's your AVR, you could try plugging your computer directly into the wall outlet. which I do. I do not use an AVR. Pop. All right, we seem to have lost some audio, but we're still live. Let me check. The Droid Cam doesn't seem to be working anymore. Oh, yeah, because there. Let's see if we can get it back. I think I might have accidentally tabbed out of Droid Cam. Ah, well. Boring conversation anyway. Points if you get the reference. So we're just going to use the main cam. Sorry, this is the question of Vaughn. Yes. If you suspect the AVR is the problem, although it's usually not the problem, but if you suspect that it is, you can plug it directly into the wall, your PC directly into the wall outlet, and you can see from there if it's working again. Or if you know that error doesn't crop up anymore. So yeah, let me Google search. 1962. According to the internet, 1962 is associated with a faulty hard drive or SATA cable connection, which kind of ties into the message the no OS found. So actually, you might want to test your cables. You might want to replace your cables, your data cables, rather than yung AVR. You are not using an NVMe SSD, an M.2, so it's not plugged in straight to your computer, into your motherboard, so you're using SATA cables. We don't have any plans to update Shopee. Kasi yung experience namin sa Lazada and Shopee, we've been scammed too many times. Like the customer will order a CPU, and then it is COD. They will take the CPU, then they will return the CPU. Pero pagdating sa amin, bato na lang yung laman. The customer will claim na the item that we sent was wrong, so that's why they sent it back. So the scammer got the CPU, Shopee doesn't care, and the shop got screwed. So I've really had it up to here explaining to both Lazada and Shopee that you can take a look at our record. Why would we scam this guy? When we send it out, it was original. But the platforms really don't care. And we're a small shop. We can't afford to send free CPUs to scammers. So napuno na ako basically with Lazada and Shopee. That's why we have very limited options on Lazada and Shopee. For the SSDs on the site, yes, we are working on that. It's a real pain in the ass, to be honest. But we are working on it. 6700 XT, I would not know because we cannot get it anymore. Our suppliers are out, and it's so hard actually to find prices of the 6700 XT even from other shops na tinanggal ko na sa Price Watch. Yun, for those of you who are unfamiliar, every month we do a video where we track the prices of CPUs and GPUs in the Philippines based on the prices of the 4 largest retailers in the country. So before, we used to track the 6700 XT, but it's so hard to find now in the wild na pinilitan ko na with the 7800 XT, or 7700 XT, sorry, and the 6600. Sa Pesto, I actually did answer Pesto it. I'll jump to you. I did answer this yesterday. So basically, Pesto's question is the recommended advice for updating BIOS. I still remember the example I used yesterday. For example, very simply, you have 10 different BIOS versions, 1 through 10. 10 being the most up-to-date, 1 being the earliest version. And let's say you're at BIOS 3 and you want to update to BIOS 10. The advice is you have to go through BIOS 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 before you get to 10. But to be honest, like, who has the time? Who has the time for that? And here in the shop, what we usually do is we jump to the latest version kaagad. But if there's a problem, that's when we start rolling back. So to apply to the example, we would jump from 3 to 10. and then start testing, stress tests and things like that to see if the system is stable. If it's not, then that's when we start rolling back to earlier versions. Yes, Kaiser is right. Sobrang mabenta yung thermal paste sa shop. I mean, through Lazada and Shopee. Actually, our Noctua NTH1 thermal paste, I think, is the cheapest from a legitimate source. I think a lot of, on Lazada at least, a lot of the other Lazada stores, I think, have it at a more expensive price, but we have kept ours a bit lower than the average, is what I recall the last time I checked. Thank you, Ryan Gatchalian. It is a lot of hard work. The shop's not making money yet, but it's a labor of love. Sometimes it's a labor. It really is a labor of love. You know how love can be frustrating, can be hair pulling, can be like, God, I don't want to do this anymore. But then there are days that it's ecstatic. Na I love this build. I love having access to new tech, and this is really amazing. So it's a whole bag, really. Doing the shop, we've been around for 5 years, and this is our third shop, and we keep expanding. Oh, the mem test just finished and it passed. Good job. Oh, maybe I can shut you down now. I think the boys will get mad kung ano. I really don't like leaving anything Pumasa naman. Exit. Shut down. It's so, but there's a definite rattle in those fans. So yeah, we've been at it for 5 years. This is our third shop. Every time we move shop, always in Makati, always getting bigger. But yeah, there are a lot of headaches from scammers online. I'm going to be posting this week about one scammer, a new scammer that tried to scam us through our own website. That's a pretty fun story. But we've met so many great enthusiasts, our customers who are also equally enthusiastic about tech. So it's been a very nice experience, but also very tiring as well sometimes. Okay bang R7 3700X for gaming? I would like to think so, because that's the CPU I'm using now. Anong video card? I use a 3080. Some people would say it's bottleneck. It probably is bottleneck, but it allows me to play AAA games at decent frame rate. So R7 3700X with a 3080, 3070, you'll be fine for 2023 AAA games. That said, I am thinking of upgrading to a R9 5950X just because I'm tired of my edits being a little slow, like sobrang choppy sa playback. I talked about this more yesterday on Pwede Magtanong. I did want to get to this question. Maliban na bumili ako ng 3070 Ti last year, December, bakit lagi bukang bibig ng mga tao 3060? No, I mean, the 3070 Ti, if you had the budget, is a lot better than the 3060 in terms of performance. Last December, can't remember the prices last December. Was it at a good price last December? Di ko malala, but I mean, you shouldn't feel bad. The 3070 Ti is definitely faster than the 3060. So significantly faster than the 3060. So you shouldn't compare those two cards. That was not a mistake. I say this often, regardless of what card. If you did your research and kumbaga touch move na, nabili mo na, then enjoy it. I mean, don't worry too much like, oh, is this bottleneck? Is this mali ba timing ko? I mean, that's buyer's regret. And we're doing a video now. It's going to be released next week. But I already shot the ending. And my ending is na we buy video cards not to obsess about whether it's the most efficient setup, whether it's the coolest, I mean, in terms of thermal performance. We don't buy video cards to obsess over getting the most number of FPS, like a 5% increase. We buy video cards to play games. So once you've done your research, bought your video card, play your games and enjoy it. They're a means to an end rather than an end in themselves. Of course, there is like a 2% of the population, they really buy GPUs because they like getting a kick out of optimizing it, the settings, underclocking, overclocking, undervolting. If that's your thing, well and good. Then the card becomes a toy in its own right. But for a lot of people, the card is just the means by which you can play games. So pag nabili mo na yung card, focus ka na sa games. Enjoy the games that you're playing. Find the proper settings that will bring out the best in the card for that game. Rather than worrying na, mali ba timing ko? Dapat yung ibang model ba dapat nabili ko? Let it go, as the song says. Let it go and enjoy the games. Right? Usually, most of the time, like you have a B450 Mobo and you have a 3000 series, bumili ka ng 5000 series CPU, ayaw mo na dumaan dun sa ibang BIOS versions update sa latest, usually it works out. I was actually talking about this with the guys in the shop just now. The 4060 Ti really got panned when it came out. I mean, people felt that it was just so close in performance to, I think it was closer in performance to the 4060 than the 4070. So just a very incremental performance increase compared to the higher price. Although the 16 gigabyte version just released after that, which might be better value for money. Pero, so usually the advice is 4070 for price to performance. The 4060 Ti got creamed when it came out. Reviewers were not kind to the 4060 Ti. They were also not kind to the 4060, but I can appreciate the 4060, to be honest. And I'm not just saying that because we had a recently sponsored video from NVIDIA that focused on the 4060. The 4060 might have been overpriced, but it is universally recognized as being faster than the 3060 for less money. And the 4000 series with DLSS 3, the frame generation, where it's like, so you have two frames, this frame and this frame. And in the middle frame, AI fills that in, so the GPU doesn't need to work as hard to fill in that frame. It is amazing. We got to try it out with the Asus 4060. The frame rate increase was very substantial, as we talked about in one of our shorts from this month. So it's not the best X60 series card that NVIDIA came out, but I think like I'm choosing my words here. That's why I let Rocky, the programmer, review it, because I didn't want to touch the 4060. It's like radioactive because it was so toxic already to the community. But like I can see where NVIDIA is coming from. It's a little pricey, but it's cheaper than the 3060. It's faster. It has DLSS 3. So I feel that some of the hate for the 4060 was misplaced or is misplaced. The 4060 Ti though, I can't feel the same way about the 4060 Ti. It's really kind of terrible price to performance. Although I did have one customer that said he needed the 4060 Ti because he was doing machine learning and the larger amount of VRAM was what sold it to him rather than performance in games. So even those kind of cards, may use cases sometimes that for individual customers. And this customer knew what he was talking about. He was doing AI learning, so he was also very familiar with hardware and things like that. So even cards that are not generally well accepted by the public, they can have their use cases. So I find it, I don't like jumping on the bandwagon na, sobrang bulok ng graphics card na to, ganito, ganyan. Because, each card might have specific use cases na bagay naman dun sa customer na yun. That said, I would go with a 4070. I actually also answered this yesterday on Pwede Magtanong. My thinking is if your budget is like below 120,000, get an AM4 build. You can basically, I don't see any value of getting the lower end 7000 series, 7600X, i7 700. I feel that higher end 5000 series CPUs will be better for you in the long run. First, they're more stable, so you don't need to worry about it. Plus, may longevity pa yan. It's a dead platform, AM4, in the sense na wala nang upgrade options. But the options that are there now are still very fast. For a gamer, you get an R7 5800X3D, you get a 4080, that will be your gaming rig for the next 3 or 4 years, easy. If you have more budget, 5950X, 5900. Although if you're a gamer, really, R7 5800X3D is already the sweet spot, then 4080. So you can probably get something like that for like 120K. Beyond that, if your budget extends beyond that, then sige, fine. Get AM5, get a higher end AM5, you get DDR5, you're well positioned to upgrade CPUs down the line and things like that. So if you can afford a certain budget na medyo mahal, I would go for AM5. But AM4 is still a very strong platform. And again, I'm just not saying that because I'm still on the AM4 platform with no plans of upgrading to AM5. But even with a new computer now, I have no qualms recommending the 5600G for entry level. For gaming na bago, R7 5800X3D, still super good. So it's a dead platform in the sense that there aren't any new CPUs coming out for it. Yes, but it's not dead in the sense that if you buy it, it can't run anything anymore. That is false. It can run a lot of things now darn well, and even future games coming out, future software, it will run pretty well as well. 3-4 years down the line, I'm pretty confident that this will be good. I would get the second hand. The 3070 is a very good price. And yun nga, for me, personally, I always do this. Like, if I can find the part second hand, I'll get it second hand, save myself some money, maybe even get a higher end part than I could have gotten if I had brought brand new. I love getting second hand. So easy for me. Get the second hand 3070. Sup, Ochi? How are you doing? I should ask you that. I'm surprised you have the time to go online. What with your brand new spanking, I won't mention the component, but it is pretty brand new and it is pretty fast. I would be taking that around, taking it for a spin, metaphorically, with some games. Yes, enjoy it. Okay, let me just go through the questions, and I do need actually to skedaddle because we still have some family time planned for Sunday. And if you let me just go on the live stream, I can just go on and on and on, basically. But nobody wants that. Okay po ba ang build na i5 13th Gen RTX 4060? Yeah, sure. And yes, get a 13600K, maybe even a 13500, and then a 4060. You can probably do that 60K, 70K. So a 4060 would be around 19,000-20,000. So that pa lang. A 13500, 13600 is around 18. 13600K is around 18,000-19,000 also. So you probably do it with around 60K roughly. Just a computer, not wala pa yung monitor. No, different part. Still do love my PG48UQ though. All right, last question. I currently have an R7 5800X and a 3080 Ti. Nice. Planning to upgrade the GPU. What GPU would you recommend, and should I also change my CPU? This is hard kasi parang borderline. The 5800X is still pretty good. The 3080 Ti is also pretty good. Yes, like if you can afford to upgrade both, I would like. Hirap. It's a really like borderline case. But I would. There is a performance increase, especially for games, and I understand you're gaming because you're interested in the GPU also. The 5800X 3D, so you get the 3D version, and then I don't know, man. The 3080 Ti is still pretty good. I mean, I I can't remember the benchmarks. I guess you'd have to get at least a 4080 to have faster. I don't think the 4070 is faster than the 3080 Ti. Of course, with the 4000 series, you're getting a DLSS 3, but just in terms of raw power, I don't think a 4070 beats a 3080 Ti. So you'd have to get at least a 4080. So that's like 85K or so, 88K, 90K. Yeah. So to change the GPU, it has to be at least a 4080. I wouldn't get a 3090 just because since you're upgrading, might as well get na rin the 4000 series with DLSS 3. Some features that are not available on the 3000 series, which are on the 4000 series. And then after that, if you can, if galit ka sa pera and you just want to keep buying, I would get a 5800 X3D or better. Parang budget doesn't seem to be a concern. I mean, you could get better, but the 5800 X3D over the 5800X for gaming, there's still value there. Like you can still expect improvement in your gaming performance. Sup, Anton? Sup, Lea Magnaye? If only we had world enough and time and money. But yun, thanks so much for joining me for another live from the shop. I do try to do these on holidays, which today is not, but I do plan to be streaming November 1 live from the shop. So that's a holiday. I'll be here just to stream and probably shoot some stuff. And we have a bunch of content coming out this week. Tomorrow, probably a short or a game stream. We know we owe 2 more dedicated videos, which will focus on GPUs. We owe 2 shorts, 2 videos, 2 game streams. And there might be some review videos coming out as well. So next week will be jam-packed in terms of content. Kasi as usual, nag-aabol kami. Anong October deliverables for the sponsor. But we do try to make them quality also, which is why it takes time and effort. And a lot of people, not like a lot, but some people asked yesterday, bakit ano nangyari sa podcast natin, tech show but friendly. And I just explained na I've just been so busy the past 3 or 4 weeks that I haven't been able to properly set aside the time. Usually I would do it on Thursday and record the podcast. But I do want to get back to doing the podcast. We're in transition. Ren, who is our main video editor, will focus again on front end. So I've had to take up some slack. I've had to start editing more videos. And we're also looking for a full-time editor. We're also looking for a full-time online comms guy because our current online comms guy, Russell, will be moved to inventory. So he'll be full-time inventory. So there are a lot of moving parts in the shop. And also as it pertains to the YouTube channel. So like the past month has really been hectic. That said, I don't want to drop any balls. It's kind of like you're juggling. I don't want to. We will fulfill our deliverables to the sponsor. We make sure that the shop is well stocked. Maybe get a better host. Apparently, this current one can't even get the words out. But it's been very hectic the past 3-4 weeks or so. I'm teaching also in my alma mater again. It's the second sem that I've been teaching. So the subject matter is not something that I'm immediately familiar with. So I do have to learn up on it so that, I'm not like an idiot there kung anong sinasabi ko, tas mali pala. So there's a bunch of things like, daming nangyayari. But yes, tune in next week. We do have a bunch of content coming out. Hey, sup, Gamer Zone? Yeah. 5800 X3D. Go for it. That great CPU for gaming. That's basically the workload of our programmers now. Joke lang, Rocky the Programmer, if you're watching the stream. Yun, thanks so much for joining me. Have a great weekend. What's the rest of the weekend? Just one more long week, and then we are facing a super long holiday. And I'll be back here November 1, live from the shop, to share with you updates from Hardware Sugar. See you guys.